Hey Leo, this one's for you, not just for any man listening, but I wanted to share with you this message today because I think it's significant. See, there's a quiet trap that a lot of people fall into, and I did too. And it starts young. You get good at reading the room, doing what gets applause, fitting in instead of standing out. And at first it feels like strength, it feels like control. But what it really is something called approval addiction. And you start shaping your words and your choices, even your future, around what other people want and what they expect. And little by little, without even noticing it, you start to disappear. You stop being you and you start being what everyone else around you expects you to be. So here's the truth. A man who needs everyone's approval will never live his own life. He'll borrow pieces of everyone else's and call it his identity. That's not what you want. That's not what I want for you. That's not what you were born for. But at the same time, I don't want you to confuse confidence with compromise. Don't trick yourself into thinking that you're being humble by accepting second best. That's not humility. That's low self-worth in disguise. You can avoid chasing approval and you can still expect more from your life, from your relationships, and from yourself. So today, in this message, we're going to talk about how to live without needing a round of applause and why you should never accept crumbs when you're sitting at the table. I hope you get something out of it. Let's run the intro.
Hold your breath, all the moves we're making.
Hey Leo, Dad here. So my message for you today is about seeking approval and not settling in life. I don't want you to live for praise, and I don't want you to build your identity around any kind of applause. But also, don't mistake humility for hiding. Don't let the fear of being too much trick you into accepting too little, because far too many people do that. Because life just isn't about being quiet and humble. It's about being rooted. It's about being respected and knowing the difference between being grounded and being overlooked. See, I can remember being younger, doing everything I could to get a nod of approval, trying to prove myself, to people who barely even noticed me. Teachers, coaches, obviously girls, guys who I thought that mattered, bosses who I thought held the keys to my future. And I'll be honest, I confused invisibility with discipline. I thought that fading into the background was some kind of virtue. I thought being silent made me deep. But the truth is, sometimes silence is just fear wearing a mask. You don't need to be loud, but you do need to be anchored. You need to know what you bring to the table and never ask for permission to sit down. So let me tell you something I wish someone drilled into me when I was younger. Avoid seeking others' approval, but never settle for second best. Let me say it again. Avoid seeking others' approval, but never settle for second best. See, there's a balance here that most people never find, because approval is fragile. It changes with moods, trends, and opinions. If you live for validation of others, you'll lose yourself in the process. You'll end up shaping your life, to please people who don't even know what they want. But let's make this clear. I'm not saying you shouldn't care what others think. Reputation does matter, but chasing approval is always a trap. It makes you a reflection of other people's insecurities instead of a man with a voice and a vision of his own. And we'll talk in another video about chasing greatness and aiming high. But this message right now is about where you find your worth. If it comes from other people, you'll always be waiting to be chosen. But when it comes from inside, you walk like you already belong. So here's why you don't settle for second best. Because number one, you were born to build. You were born not to beg, but to lead, not to linger, but to stand for something, not to shrink for everything. So don't mistake being content with being complacent. And don't call it peace when it's just passivity, dressed up nicely. You deserve relationships that fuel you. You deserve work that challenges you, friends that sharpen you. You don't have to be loud to demand the best. You just have to be consistent, intentional, and deeply aligned with who you are. See, settling looks safe, but it rots from inside. So here's the charge. Don't chase approval, but don't pretend you're okay with crumbs either. Be the man who speaks when needed and moves with purpose always. Be the man who holds high standards, not for attention, but because he refuses to live beneath his own potential. Let your life speak, let your presence lead, let your legacy be written in quiet confidence and unshakable standards. And remember, avoid seeking others' approval, but never settle for second best. All right? You know your worth, you need to act like it, you need to live like it, and you got to let the world adjust around you. So here's the thing that I want you to remember from this message, okay? Number one, don't build your worth on applause, what others think, because what others think changes and your value doesn't. Standards matter. If you don't define them, someone else will, and you won't like the result quite often. You're allowed to expect more in love, in work, in life. Quiet men still have loud expectations, and that's okay. Respect yourself first. That's the foundation of everything that you'll ever build. So I want you to carry these with you, repeat them when you forget, and live like you believe them. I'll see you soon.